Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here. In today's video, I'll be going over 5 candidates for the Washington Commanders 2024 GM spot. Some of these will be big names and some of these will be sleepers as well. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button and the notification bell as well, and check out BetUs, link in the description. All right, so let's get right into it. And this is kind of, I guess, not specifically just for GM because they likely will hire a president of football operations as well. They might hire a president of football operations and a GM, or a guy that has both of the roles. Some teams do that. Some teams just have a GM and don't have a president. We'll see what Josh Harris wants. But we're going to be going over 5 candidates for those roles. And let's start with one, Alec Halby. Halby, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but he has a heavy analytics background, ties with Philadelphia and Harvard as well, which Eugene Shen has. And if you want to model, your franchise around someone, I think the Eagles is a good one, and the Ravens as well. And I think that's what Josh Harris wants. I'm going to go into a little bit of depth into each of these guys. And in future videos, once we actually request to interview these guys and stuff like that, I'll put in more work and give you guys a little bit more information. But Alec Halby is the assistant general manager for the Philadelphia Eagles. So, hey, anyone from that franchise, I would be interested in, hiring, especially with what they've done with that team, how they've built it through free agency, the draft, trades, getting a lot of comp picks, their coaches they've done a really good job. They've done a really good job. He's been, with the Eagles for 16 years, assistant general manager. He was named that in 2022 and was the vice president of football operations and strategy from 2016 to 2021. He's focused on in his role, he's focused on player evaluation, roster management, and resource allocation. And he's got, a lot of analytics ties as well. And yeah, you guys can see some other stuff. Native of Madison, Wisconsin, and he graduated from Harvard in 2009. So I like him. That's it really. He's got ties with the Eagles. He's relatively young. I don't know his exact age, but I mean, he looks, relatively young. He's probably in his 40s. And has been working alongside Howie Roseman as well, and has those Harvard ties with Eugene Shen went to Harvard, and he's gonna have a huge role with the Commanders, so he might be interested in someone like Alec Halby as well. Next guy, let's go into it, and it's a Ravens guy, and it is Joe Hortes. Again, probably mispronouncing it. He's the director of player personnel for the Baltimore Ravens. Worked with Eugene Shen, I believe, when Eugene Shen was in Baltimore. And, the Commanders owner, this is according to Albert Breer, who does have a lot of sources with the Commanders, says that Josh Harris wants to model his team after the Ravens. And if that's true, well, go ahead and hire someone from their, staff. Joe Hortes, you're not going to, probably be able to get Eric DeCosta. I mean, he is the director of football operations. Maybe if you get Andy's executive vice president, maybe you can get him to be, the president. But even then, I don't know if he leaves. And then Joe Hortes as well. He's a guy that, though, he's at director of player personnel. So getting even a GM job would be a huge upgrade for him. So I think that he would definitely take that job if we offered it to him. He's a guy I'm definitely interested. Again, the Ravens have run their franchise really well ever since really they have been a franchise. They've been running it really well in Baltimore, and yeah, just through free agency, the draft, they're the way they got Lamar Jackson, they've developed him and they've put talent around him. The 2 coordinators they chose this offseason were really good. They have a good head coach, and yeah, I like everything about the Ravens. And hey, if you can get a piece from them, that would be good. And have him as the general manager, president, whatever you want. So he's the second candidate on the list for me. Again, no order really for this, but these are just guys I think will be candidates for the job, and some guys that I really want. Adam Peters is another guy. He's the assistant general manager in San Francisco, and he's one of the top candidates. Everyone wants him. He's more of a traditional general manager, traditional talent evaluator versus some of these guys that are more analytics based, but he's really sought after, and A lot of teams want him. So I don't know if he's going to want to come to the Commanders, although we will be enticing, I think, for GM opportunity because we will have the second pick, hopefully, knock on wood. Hopefully that doesn't change. But if we lose, at worst, what we can have is the third overall pick if we lose. And that's enticing, plus, $80-90 million in cap space. Depending on what we do, we can get some more, maybe close to like 95 and maybe even 100 if we really do things and restructure deals and release players or trade. It depends on what happens with Jonathan Allen. I saw Rio made a video on Jonathan Allen. Make sure you guys check that out. Maybe I'll do the same if any more news comes out. But we can make some more cap space, and we got a little bit of talent, not a lot, but it is an attractive spot, I believe, and you have the chance to really rebuild a franchise in a new era, because the new era really starts now. I made a YouTube short about that. So that's kind of why I think this GM spot, honestly, is kind of attractive. But I think he's probably going to want to stay in San Francisco. Maybe they promote him to general manager and have John Lynch just as the president. I think that's what he is right now, and general manager. But just basically keep Adam Peters there, and he's probably going to have a very similar role to what he's having now. Just have that GM title. Makes you look better. You're going to get paid more. But also, it's hard to pass up an opportunity to be a president of football operations. So I'm sure we'll request to interview him because, again, he's one of the most qualified guys. He's been working with the 49ers for a while. Just don't know if he's going to accept that offer. So we got a couple more candidates to go over. One of these guys is a big time sleeper. But before we get into that, a word from our sponsor today, BetUs.
BetUs, America's favorite sports book, where you can bet on everything anytime. Sportsbook, casino, horse racing, live betting, and more. We have the best bonuses in the industry. That's right, get a 125% sign-up bonus. And to celebrate our 30-year anniversary, we are giving up to 30 risk-free bets, a truck, Super Bowl tickets, and more. Don't miss out. Play smart. Join now. BetUs, where the game begins.
So make sure you guys check out BetUs. Link in the description. Use that link to get a 125% first-time deposit match. It's a great deal. Check them out. They have so many different sports to bet on. And, NFL playoffs is coming up. You got, NBA's in the middle of the season. Same thing as NHL. So a lot of different things to do. And college sports. You got the national championship coming up in a little bit. So thank you guys to BetUs. And also bet responsibly as usual. Alrighty, so we're back, and the next candidate I think the Washington Commanders should consider is Ian Cunningham, who is currently the assistant general manager with the Chicago Bears, who've made a bunch of really good trades, but he also worked with the Eagles before and with the Ravens with Eugene Shen. So this is kind of a report here from Ben Stanek. Says Ian Cunningham connected with Washington's newly hired VP of Football Strategy, Eugene Shen, when the two were with the Ravens scouting department, according to a person familiar with the situation. Cunningham was also one of the candidates Harris met with at the NFL's front office and general manager accelerator program in December. Yeah, I forget totally what it is. I think I have an idea, but that's besides the point. He's a good candidate. He's done well with the Bears the last couple years, kind of trying to rebuild their roster, but also setting them up for the future where they have a first overall pick right now. So he's been good, and he worked with the Eagles and with the Ravens as well, so you love to see that. The Bears don't have a page up for him for some reason, or at least I couldn't find it. When I looked up Ian Cunningham, the first thing that came up was the Eagles, so I'll just read his bio. He was working with them for like 14 years, or working in the NFL for 14 years. I guess it's been like 16-ish now. Fifth with the Eagles, was the director of player personnel during the 2021 offseason. I guess maybe, yeah, that's kind of when 2022, I believe, he went to the Bears. So did a good job with the Eagles, got, that Philly culture in him from Howie Roseman and that Baltimore culture. So the, combination of those two is really good. So maybe we hire him as like GM and someone else is president, or just hire him as a GM, not completely sure, but he's definitely another candidate, and I would be surprised if he's not interviewed. Honestly, a lot of these guys I think will be interviewed. I'm not sure how many they'll interview, but I'm thinking like 5+. I think Josh Harris probably has an idea of who he wants, but at the same time, first they got to accept it, and you want to just get a good sense of everyone and you want to get the sense of what do they feel about, how do they evaluate your roster, because you get more and more evaluations. I think that's important to have. Next guy, this is the sleeper. Shout out to Resh Manuel. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but he has a bunch of crazy, I don't know, he is able to find crazy connections. But this, he said a current exec to watch out for could be Pat Moriarty, I don't know. So I'm really bad at pronouncing names, but of course all these names except for Adam Peters and a couple other ones like Ian Cunningham, that's easy to pronounce. And sorry if it's a little bit, seems like something cut out. I went to upload my video and the last 2 or 3 minutes were just cut out, so I'm resuming from wherever it got cut out, and basically just talked about Pat and how he's was connected with Ian Cunningham, who is another candidate for the Commanders GM job. He worked with the Ravens. I'm not sure if he overlapped with Eugene Shen, but that's just another connection there. So he's more of a sleeper. I don't think he'll be the GM, but could be maybe a vice president or assistant GM, or if they hire a president, then maybe he could be the GM and just have a expanded role to what he's doing now with the Ravens. But just another candidate for you guys to look at for the Washington Commanders as well. A little bit more of a sleeper. And again, shout out, I don't know if this part got cut out, but shout out to Resh Manuel for finding this. He finds a lot of good connections with the Commanders. So yeah, go ahead and check out his Twitter page right there. But yeah, that's it. Again, I talked a little bit more in the original recording, but I don't know, I just want to get this out at this point. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.